The Galactic Peace Treaty had been established for 5,000 years. War was obsolete. Conflict was managed through diplomatic channels. Violence was a relic of primitive civilizations. Until the Valerian Empire slaughtered an entire human colony. It wasn't strategic. It wasn't military necessity. It was genocide born from arrogance. The Valorians, a hive-minded species that viewed individual consciousness as inferior, had decided that the human settlement on Kepler 442b was inefficiently occupying space that could be better used. 100,000 humans died in the bombardment. The Galactic Council convened for emergency sessions. They passed resolutions. They issued condemnations. They implemented economic sanctions. The Valerian Empire paid fines and made apologies. By galactic standards, justice had been served. But the humans didn't accept galactic standards. Commander James Karpov received the casualty list aboard the carrier USS Defiant. His daughter's name was on it. His ex-wife. 3,000 soldiers under his command. Friends he'd known for 20 years. All gone in a single coordinated strike. He read the list 3 times, making sure he understood exactly who had been taken from him. Then he began his work. What followed was unlike anything the galaxy had witnessed in recorded history. Humans didn't wage war through the proper channels. They didn't negotiate. They didn't file grievances with the Peace Council. Instead, they did something far more terrifying: they got angry. Karpov's fleet didn't attack the Valerian homeworld directly. That would have been too merciful, too quick. Instead, he implemented something humans called total war, a concept that had been abandoned by civilized species millennia ago precisely because of its brutality. Every Valerian colony was targeted. Every supply line was cut. Every communication relay was destroyed. The Valerian economy, dependent on galactic trade networks, began to collapse. But Karpov didn't stop at military targets. He targeted infrastructure. Manufacturing centers. Agricultural facilities. Research institutions. The Galactic Council demanded he stop. He ignored them. "You're committing war crimes," Ambassador Vextril protested during an emergency session. "No," responded Captain Sarah Chen, speaking for the human delegation. "We're committing vengeance. There's a difference." The Valerian Empire, accustomed to surgical strikes and diplomatic resolution, didn't know how to respond to an enemy that didn't care about galactic law. Humans had evolved on a world where mercy was weakness and surrender meant death. They didn't have the luxury of civilized warfare. Within 6 months, the Valerian military was in shambles. Within a year, their economy had collapsed. But Karpov still wasn't finished. He hunted down Valerian leadership. Not to capture them for trial, to make an example. When the first Hive Queen tried to flee to a neutral system, Karpov followed her across 3 sectors. When a Valerian general attempted to hide among a peaceful colony, Karpov found him. Each execution was broadcast across the galaxy. Each one carried a message: humans didn't forget. Humans didn't forgive. Humans would burn the entire galaxy down to get justice for their dead. The Valerian people, for the first time in their existence, experienced true fear. Scientists began studying the phenomenon. Psychologists attempted to understand it. One researcher, a crystalline being named Dr. Shintox, published a groundbreaking paper, The Primal Fury: How Humans Transform Grief into Apocalypse. In it, she theorized that humans possessed something unique in galactic biology: the ability to transform personal loss into collective determination. When a human was wronged, other humans didn't just sympathize. They raged. They connected emotionally. They became a unified force of retribution that was almost impossible to stop. Humans have a special place in hell, Dr. Shintox concluded in her paper. Not because they are evil, but because they are willing to go there. They will descend into brutality, savagery, and absolute destruction if you harm what they love. And unlike other species, they don't experience remorse about it. They experience satisfaction. By the time the Valerian Empire finally surrendered unconditionally, they had lost 80% of their military capability, 60% of their population, and all of their colonies. The Galactic Council imposed massive reparations. The Valerian leadership was executed by human command. And most importantly, a message was sent across the galaxy. Commander Karpov stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant, watching the Valerian homeworld burn in the distance. He thought of his daughter. His ex-wife. The thousands of soldiers who would never come home. He thought of the Valerian Empire, which had believed that genocide could be handled through diplomacy and fines. Behind him, a young officer spoke quietly. "Sir, the Council is requesting we stand down." Karpov didn't turn around. "Tell them we'll stand down when every Valerian who authorized that attack is dead, every colony is rebuilt, and every human who was lost is avenged." "But sir," the officer continued, "the Council says." "I don't care what the Council says," Karpov interrupted. "The Valorians taught us something important today. They taught us what happens when you anger the species that has nothing left to lose." The officer fell silent, understanding that humanity had finally shown the galaxy its true nature. Civilized species made mistakes thinking humans were like them. Humans weren't civilized. They were survivors. And survivors didn't negotiate with those who slaughtered their families. They conquered.